Welcome back to the official pod. We are presented by WinBet. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WinBet. Eric Allen and Leger Douzable. Awesome show ahead because CJ Mosley is going to join us. What can you say about Mosley this year? The guy has been unbelievable.
I mean, what can't you say about CJ? He is the heartbeat of this team, not just the defense. I mean, I think a lot of people had a lot of question marks about him coming into the season after being away from the game for practically 2 years. But he showed that he picked up right where he left off, looked fresh coming into this season, dropped some weight. But he's been all over the place, over 100 tackles already this season, and has played at a Pro Bowl level, has been one of the few bright spots on this defense, showed his leadership week in and week out. Shows that the game means something to him. He cares, and I think other players have fed off of that.
So I think fans are going to enjoy our conversation with CJ against the New Orleans Saints. 17 tackles. That's
Crazy.
A career high. 7th time this year, double-digit tackles for number 57.
And it's crazy, because Quincy Webb had 15 like 2 weeks ago, and that was the high for this season.
Yep.
CJ said, you know what? Hold my beer. I'm going to two up you this game. And he literally was all over the place against the New Orleans Saints and played a terrific game. There was plays where he wasn't even responsible for bootlegs, and he was beating the other linebacker to the outside. He was just all over the field for the Jets. Now, you would like for him not to have that many reps on defense, but this guy shows up week in and week out.
Overall, did the defense step up their game against the New Orleans Saints? There's a couple ways of looking at this. Mm-hmm. If a team has 40-plus rush attempts, you're probably going to lose the game. Of course, the Jets lost the game. Mm-hmm. But up until the point that Taysom Hill took off late for that 40-plus yard scoring run, I believe the yards per attempt were in the 3.7 range.
Yeah. So, and I said this when I did my show earlier this week on SNY. People were still on the Jets defense hard. But if you look at what EA just said, right, through 3.5 quarters, the Jets' run defense actually played pretty well. Besides one drive with Alvin Kamara kind of took over and scored on that touchdown.
In the second quarter, yep.
Yeah. Other than that, they really held this, Saints rushing attack to minimum game. Like, they were averaging under 4 yards a carry.
Robert Saleh, in fact, after the game, said that the yards per carry would lead the National Football League over the course of a season before the Taysom Hill run.
But when you break for 40-plus yards, like, that skews your yard per average, right, because you give them an explosive run. So, I mean, you can't not take that into consideration, but if you just look at most of the game, the Jets' defense answered the call, and they played well enough to win that game through 3.5 quarters. You just would like them to finish that performance and not give up a big explosive run, but for a team that had been so scrutinized because of the run defense, they actually showed up and played quite well against the run on Sunday.
No turnovers for the Jets offensively for the first time this season. I know people are going to say, well, you're just looking for silver linings. You scored 3 field goals from Eddie Pinheiro. Nice job by him in his first outing with the green and white.
That was big.
But with that being said, you do have to hold on to the football.
Yeah, 100%, and it was good that they just didn't turn the ball over. Now, Zach almost had him a pick late in that game to Gardner Johnson, but as far as not turning the football over, we've noticed that when the Jets turn it over, like, they really don't have a chance to win the game. Sometimes because of the talent barrier between the Jets and other teams, you can't lose a turnover battle and expect to win games, and they did a good job taking care of the football. Now, you'd want the Jets' defense to get some turnovers, but we knew that the Saints were going to come in running the football. They weren't going to put Taysom Hill in too many crazy situations where he was going to have to throw the ball down the field. So that kind of minimizes your opportunity as far as getting interceptions, because if he's not throwing the ball, you can't get interceptions. The only way you can get turnovers then is to punch the ball out when the ball carrier has the football. So, kudos to the Jets offense for not turning the ball over this week. But, again, they struggled a lot on offense, didn't have as many opportunities as they did the first half versus the Philadelphia Eagles. It kind of reminded you of the third quarter versus the Philadelphia Eagles last week as far as the offense.
And the long drives defensively.
Yeah, the long drives defensively, the offense not getting as many opportunities. And then the offense, I believe 3 out of the first 4 drives went 3 and out. So that minimizes your opportunities also throwing the football down the field.
No flow offensively for the Jets throughout that ball game. Reinforcements on the way, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Michael Carter, their impressive running back from North Carolina, expected back in the lineup. Michael Carter, the second, an outstanding nickel for the Jets in his first professional season, expected back. Tevin Coleman, who gave you some juice the previous 2 games before going out last week using concussion protocol, he's expected back, and Tyler Kroft as well. So, wow.
One more guy.
Who am I?
A guy that nobody has been talking about.
Oh, your guy, Bryce Huff.
You already know, man. I don't think people understand how big of a loss Bryce Huff was, and it wasn't just in the sack column with the numbers, because he was getting to the quarterback and creating havoc the first couple weeks of the season. Then he had that back injury, and the Jets' defensive line has just not been the same. So I'll be interested to see where he is, like his lung capacity first and foremost, where his back is health-wise, because this guy brings juice off the edge.
Yeah. So good news on the injury front. If you were going to vote for a Jets team MVP, this is a big CJ Mosley podcast here. I think hands down you go Mosley. But if you're going to go an offensive MVP, you'd probably look in Elijah Moore's direction.
So I've heard that from a few people, but it's like, can you technically put him in there because the body of work and how many games he's played?
I agree. And Vera Tucker, I know you've been a big fan of his game.
Honestly, you know who I would go with? George Fent.
Wow.
George Fent would be my offensive player of the year for the Jets, because I don't think anybody expected this, and he's playing probably the most important position on offense besides the quarterback. Like, he's the quarterback's blind side, and he's only given up 1 sack. Like, this dude has been playing at a high level, so much, in fact, that I believe, and you'll hear this exclusively on Jets podcast, that I believe that they should move Mekhi Becton to right tackle and keep George Fent at left. I know it's a bombshell. Bombshell right there. Boom.
Yes. That is
a bombshell. Because if you look
the
at
mic drop.
Yeah, if you look at the scheme, right?
Yeah.
I think George Fent, and I said this all during the preseason, he fits perfectly in the scheme as far as what they want to do with the zone and the stretch scheme. And to me,
he said as much before the season. He said the system perfectly fits what I bring to him.
So you're talking about Mekhi Becton's athletic, but I think George Fent is a little bit more quick-footed. So you have him on your left side, and then you want your power tackle from running on your right side. Now, I know you see Elijah Vera Tucker and Mekhi Becton, and that just looks beautiful on paper on the left side. But I think if you move Mekhi Becton to the right side, and most of the offensive tackles, the right tackle is the better blocking running tackle.
Okay.
As far as, routinely in the NFL, your right tackle is a better run blocking tackle. So you put Mekhi Becton on the right side, you keep Fent and Elijah Vera Tucker, where they've been able to build up some chemistry over this 14 game stretch, 13 game stretch, and you keep them together. And to me, George Fent has earned the right to start at left tackle, because for his whole career, he's bounced around so many different positions. He's never had the opportunity to really be comfortable in one spot. He's always been the swing guy. Well, he showed this year he deserves the chance to solidify himself as a left tackle.
Man, that is something else. So I'm having trouble.
Mike drops on Jets podcast.
No,
today.
I knew. Obviously, anybody who watches the Jets this season, we go back to week 1 in Carolina, and Wilson goes down 6 times, and he takes a big time beating, and you're wondering, oh my God, this line's in trouble. Mekhi Becton's out of the lineup. He still has not played since that week 1, but Fant has been outstanding.
For sure.
Organizationally, do you think that's a conversation that they would have?
So this is the issue, right? You don't want to have the issue that Baltimore had with Zeus Brown, right? Where he felt like after Ronnie Stanley got hurt, they moved him left tackle. Now he's like, I'm only a left tackle, which he's actually kind of struggled in Kansas City doing this year. He hasn't played as good as he did when he was in Baltimore. So that's a conversation. And the thing is, Mekhi Becton played right tackle before.
Yes.
So it's not like it's something he can't do. The thing is, can he mentally handle being moved to right tackle? Not as a slight, but as we just want to get our best players in the position where they can be successful. Not to saying he can't be a left tackle, but when Fant has played at the level that he's played at, I feel like he deserves the right to be a left tackle, and you move Mekhi Becton to right.
But this is why my argument is the Jets are not that far away. Yes, 3-10 heading into these final 4 games in Robert Saleh's first year, but that offensive line, it's a big if. Becton comes back. He showed you a lot.
Stay healthy.
He showed you a lot as a rookie. Definitely has to stay healthy. Let's get to Connor McGovern while we're talking about the offensive
He's played
line.
well.
he said by far this is his best season.
Yeah, and the thing is, I like the Lindenbaum kid from Iowa.
Yep.
And I think he could solidify.
You've been talking him up.
Yeah, I think he could solidify his offensive line. But Connor McGovern has played and earned the right to start next year. Now the thing is, he has some versatility. He's been able to play guard before, so you could slide him to guard, and then you're talking about maybe him and LDT or somebody else battling in and out. There's a couple free agents out there. I think Connor Williams becomes a free agent for the Dallas Cowboys this year. Really good young guard. So now you're talking about, two guys potentially battling it out. Elijah Vera Tucker's going to be your starter at left guard no matter what. But the thing is, you want to have depth, right? Because as we've seen this year, you're most likely going to lose one or two players for a couple of games. You got to have somebody that can step in. And a lot of times these backups are getting paid $4 or $5 million too, because NFL's 100% injury rate. So you want to have that depth. And I think that's what had a lot of people excited going into this season when we thought Alex Lewis was going to be here, and then you had GVR, you had McGovern. We're like, we actually finally have some depth. So, like, if somebody goes down, we had Morgan Moses come in. He was going to be our third tackle.
Yeah, tough blow for Cameron Clark out there in training camp.
Yeah,
as well.
And then Clark was another guy, a young guy that we thought was going to, build on his rookie season. And then he gets hurt, had a, freakish, scary-looking injury. Yeah. Mekhi Becton goes down in the first game. Alex Lewis decides to retire. So now you're like, damn, where's the depth? So now, like, if you get LDT back, you got McGovern, you end up getting the kid from Iowa in the first round and maybe another free agent. Now you're talking about depth on this offensive line, and that's what the Jets need.
And Morgan Moses has stepped up.
I would sign him back as well, too, on another one-year deal. He's a veteran guy.
You'd love your tackles if you're coming back again with a
healthy
healthy
Steady Eddie is what Morgan Moses has been.
But a healthy Becton plus Fant in another year of Morgan Moses will be something else.
You take that all day. And the reason why you sign a guy like Morgan Moses, even though you paid Fant the year before, is because of situations that happened this year when you lose Mekhi Becton. Like your swing tackle, a lot of times you'll use him in 6 offensive lineman sets, but also he's treated like a starter because most likely he's going to play maybe 6 games each year. So you got to think 6 games is more than a quarter of a season. So that guy has to be able to come in and not have any drop off when playing that position. So, I mean, you got to have 3 viable good tackles on your team for you to have a chance.
But that's my argument why I think the Jets aren't that far away. The big piece of this is Zach Wilson. We'll be talking about him in a second.
That's the major piece.
We'll be talking about him in a second. But Michael Carter, the running back, has been tremendous in year 1. Tevin Coleman's giving you some juice from that position. You've seen some other guys step up in the offensive backfield as well. Elijah Moore has become the guy. We've seen that offensively. Corey Davis did some good things for you this season, especially earlier in the year, right?
The issue with that, too, is those guys haven't stayed healthy as well either.
Yeah.
So you're talking about adding – we definitely got to add another pass catcher. Maybe a true number 1 if we can't get it free agency. There's some good kids coming up in the draft, the Wilson kid from Ohio State. I like the London kid from USC. Both of these guys. Olave is another really good receiver.
And Ohio State out there. It's an NFL group of wideouts every week.
You cannot have enough good pass catcher, right? And for a team to have true success in the NFL, and most teams, you got to have a true number 1, right? So I think the Jets are thinking Elijah Moore could potentially be a true number 1, but there's nothing wrong with trying to find another true number 1 via free agency or the draft because that's only going to open up things more for Elijah Moore. So I think
it certainly would.
Go get another big-time receiver.
All right, so but going back to my line argument, you got Quinnen Williams, who showed a lot of toughness against New Orleans, goes down, shoulder injury.
They're going to play this week, too.
Yeah, a lot of guys would opt out, maybe say, you know what, it's just not my day. He gets the harness on.
He's got 5 million reasons to continue to play.
So Q's out there. Sheldon Rankins has done some nice things for you this season. We'll see what happens with Folorunso Fadakasi, I believe, the final year. Final year of his contract. On the outside, John Franklin Myers obviously wrapped up with the long-term deal, 6 sacks this year. You're hoping Carl Lawson comes back 100%, and that would just completely change the dynamic. I feel bad for Jets fans. I had the opportunity to watch him throughout the spring and the summer. He looked like a game changer. Yeah. You're going to have an ability there early in the draft probably to take the top defensive pass rusher on the board at that point, right?
I don't think so. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going number 1 overall.
No, I'm saying one of the top 3.
Oh, so you're gonna get
so let's just say you're the third pick.
You're gonna get one of the top 3 defensive linemen in the draft
and
for sure.
We're talking. We're gonna do our draft deep dive. We promise that.
Yeah.
But it might go in that direction where you're going to the edge there early in the draft.
I think the Jets will go edge, right, depending on where they're at. If
Does Hutchinson go number 1 to Detroit?
He's going number 1 overall to Detroit.
Okay.
For one, it just makes sense, right? You got a Michigan local guy,
Yes.
like ticket sales. They need a defensive end. I think Jared Goff has played good enough to be the starting quarterback next year. And then also, if you look at the draft, there's no quarterbacks that are really slated to go in the top 10.
I just don't see it.
There will be one, I guarantee you, just like the year where Blake Bortles went 3 overall to Jacksonville. Somebody's going to reach up and come get a quarterback, somebody they like through evaluation. Good thing is I believe all of the top quarterbacks are going to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, so they'll really be able to evaluate these quarterbacks because it's not like one of these quarterbacks is a solidified top 5 pick where they like, I don't have to go to the Senior Bowl. Like all these guys want to go out there and prove that they deserve to be the top quarterback in this draft.
But you think one quarterback goes in the top 10, not necessarily top 5.
No, not top 5.
Yeah.
But I think somebody's going to trade up and get one in the top 10 for sure.
So on paper, again, I just get excited thinking about the draft. I think everybody does. We should not forget about free agency because
$208 million.
Yes,
like that's a big number, and the Jets are going to have a lot of cap space. They'll probably be able to maybe even tweak some contracts, maybe restructure some contracts, and even have even more money. And the thing is, when you got a rookie quarterback, you're not paying all that money to the quarterback, so you have a lot of wiggle room this year to add some significant pieces to develop your team.
Yeah, and so we go back to the defensive line, and if you get one of those top edge players there early, that defensive line should be awfully solid next season,
Yeah.
and you should be very encouraged about where you are from the offensive line. So let's get to the big piece here. Zach Wilson. He's got 4 games remaining. Tough outing against the Saints. Couple drops there early in the game. The offense never established any flow. Robert Saleh was stressing his eyes. Decision-making, he said, was fine. It was more his eyes this week.
Yeah, and it's got to be big this week as well because, right, the Saints – the Dolphins do kind of what the Saints do as far as blitzing and playing a lot of man coverage. Now, the thing is, the Dolphins are a little bit more exotic in the way they blitz because they'll blitz the house and drop 2 defensive linemen and bring 2 safeties off the edge. So you just got to know where to go with the football, and I think that's what Joe Flacco did a really good job of, except for that one time in the red zone where he had the sack fumble and the Jets missed out on getting points potentially right there.
I think the Jets should have won that game.
They should have won. And just hearing the players on the team, I think they're excited to play this game. Like, we talked to Elijah Vera-Tucker after that game, and he was like, yeah, I'm excited to play them again. Like, I think they feel like they let one get away. And the old saying goes, more games are lost in the NFL than won. The Jets definitely lost that game with, pivotal penalties and pivotal points in the game and just not playing smart all the time. So I believe the Jets are excited to get down to Miami and play this division foe. Looking for their first division win in, 2 years?
Yes.
Almost. So that's another
definitely since 19 because last year you did not have a division.
Exactly. So they're definitely chomping at the bit to win a division game and play a division foe in a game where they felt like they let one slip away. So if you're Zach Wilson, there's going to be some looks that look crazy out there. There's going to be 7 people at the line of scrimmage. He might only rush 3, drop 4. He might rush 5 or 6 and drop 2 D linemen. So you just got to know how to be efficient with the ball, get the ball out of your hand, be decisive. I think that was the problem with Lamar Jackson when they played them the first time. He didn't have a hot read. He didn't know where to go with the football, and that's why he struggled. And teams have struggled the last few weeks with Miami Dolphins doing this. Now, a big piece to that is Javon Holland. He is their joker piece back there. He kind of does everything for them, and he potentially could miss this game on the COVID protocol reserve list. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Again, this is Tuesday, like we always say. We don't know who's going to be up and down for this game.
Man, you are all over it. We're going to bring in CJ Mosley here momentarily. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WinBet. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Jets-Dolphins, a game preview after CJ. I wanted to talk about what you just mentioned about Holland. The Jets this week, virtual meetings. So they will not be at the facility together as one inside up until the point to get on a plane to go down to South Florida. Are you worried, not just from a Jets perspective, but what's happening with the league right now as we see the cases spike up again?
I mean, you're worried, period, for health reasons, right?
Yep.
Because, like you said, I believe yesterday, 37 players tested positive for COVID. And with this new variant and new strain out there, like, it's something to be worried about. But as far as the preparation for Sunday, I'm not worried because this is what teams had to deal with the last year and a half.
So it's old hat.
It's old habits. Like last year, a lot of meetings were virtual besides just practices and walkthroughs at the facility. So this is something that even guys in college went through. So even if rookies on this team, they dealt with this last year in college with even more players. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not worried as far as the preparation, but I am a little nervous about this health scare. And you know, kind of a lot of the experts said that it could be a potential spike during the winter and cold months. So I think we're starting to see that happening now, and it's a little worrisome.
Yeah, Austin Walter and Ronnie Blair didn't play Sunday, and Blair was a practice squad elevation on Saturday due to illness, non-COVID illness, I believe. So,
that's another thing, right? It's not just COVID; it's flu season right now. So, like,
right, so
non-COVID flu, like, is a dangerous thing as well.
Yeah, we're seeing it a lot, and then people are going to have families in town for the holidays and friends, and there's going to be gatherings and things like that. So it's something everybody, not just the New York Jets, are going to have to deal with. And like you mentioned, it's a global thing, not a pandemic anymore. What are they calling this? An endemic? It's just something that we will deal with the rest of our time.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be an end to it. Man.
Yeah. So hey, listen, but there is light. there is light at the end of the tunnel. We got football. We got Christmas coming up. There's going to be some presents under the tree. And speaking of presents under the tree, let's get to CJ Mosley.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $500 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
CJ Mosley, you've done a lot of things in the National Football League, but never before 17 tackles like you had against the Saints. Can you talk about that ball game? And did you realize your tackle number was way up there?
Well, to start with the second question, I had no idea how many tackles I had. I didn't know until I was in the cold tub doing my normal routine after the game. Then Quincy told me, "Hey man, you had 17 tackles, man." That's how you be talking. So it was cool to find that out. It was funny because prior to this game, my first highs was 15. It was against New Orleans as well. So I guess I just have a good game against them. But I felt like I was seeing the game really well. Seeing things happen before the play snap. So man, this type of year, when you think about teams and defenses, you want to be playing at your best ball. December, January, when it starts to get cold. So I've just been trying to focus every week, every day on trying to get better at my craft, finding new ways that I can, manipulate offenses through our defense, and trying to cheat different gaps, things like that, trying to advance my craft. So just happy to see the productivity working out.
CJ, you just mentioned Quincy Williams. Talk about his development, because I believe he had the season high in tackles for a game at 15. I believe 2 weeks prior to this. And then you told him to hold your beer, and you're gonna get 17 this week. But just talk about the development of Quincy Williams next to you at the linebacker position.
It's been great, and the main thing is his confidence level. He's talking more. He's talking more with his teammate. He's making checks with me, so that helps out a lot. I don't have to talk as much, but he's a very fast player, and he's very reactive, instinctive. So once he starts to see the game slow down, he's going to be that more deadly. It won't take him those few extra steps to get to where he needs to be. He'll already be there on top of the speed and the power that he has. So we're just going to continue to work together, continue to keep trying to build our foundation in our linebacker room, just keep this duo going.
How do you view this season individually? We talk about your tackle total against the Saints, but that's not an anomaly, CJ. You've had 7 games of 10-plus tackles.
I just try to be at the ball at every play. It's tough on some occasions. You get long drives here and there. but you just pride yourself off running to the ball and being physical. And at the end of the day, I consider myself still an old school style linebacker with my mentality. I'm all about the contact, the power, and when I'm asked to be in coverage, I play my part in that role. But linebackers are built on game wrecking plays, and also being able to change the game, within the game. You look at stats, and that sometimes can be misconstrued. You see, a lot of tackles, but you don't see the interceptions or the sacks and those things. But that being a middle linebacker, so much more. Just the technical part of the game, the mental part of the game, knowing what the offense is giving you, knowing what they're trying to do to you throughout the game, and how they're trying to change up and show different coverages and different pre-snap looks. And I enjoy that part of the game. The physical part, that will come and go. My body will know when it's done. But as far as the mental part, I feel like I'm one of the smartest linebackers in this league, and I pride myself on trying to study the opponent and trying to tell myself, like, who can I outstudy on the other side of the ball to try to get in the best position I can be in.
CJ, as the leader and heartbeat of this team, as a veteran guy that's played a lot of years in this league, what is the mindset going into these last 4 games as a leader that you want to instill into this young team?
Find something to get better at, whether it's in your own game, whether it's something that you're trying to study, whether it's a new play that come in that you want to perfect because you know that you're going to get the ball in that possession. Just whatever you can do to mentally and physically make yourself just that much better each day. I think that's going to put us in the right direction. Because obviously we know we're not going to the playoffs. We know the season is pretty much done for the most part. But if you come to work with that mindset, nothing's going to happen. You're going to degress. You're not going to do anything. But if you come to work and say, all right, when I get to meetings, when we get to this play, I want to make sure I'm in the right spot every time for this play. Or when you go to meetings, I want to write this X amount of notes down, a certain key thing I want to look at. If you're thinking about that and not really thinking about the results of how things are going to go, you're going to find yourself getting better each day, and your teammates going to see you and want to do better, because when they see you still grinding and not really looking at all the outside noise, that's going to make them want to do better. And that's also might make them curious, what do you see on this play? Like, why did you do the things that you do when that time's come? So it's just little things like that to try to take your mind off the obvious and try to make yourself be a better player, a better person each day.
You are a next level thinker. There's no doubt about that. And you said recently, I truly believe that this is a building block that is going to make a strong foundation of what we have to come. Why did you say that?
Just what I believe, and that's what Coach Saleh and everybody has been saying from the beginning. His mindset and his story hasn't changed at all. It's been a lot of times where he could back down or said something different about how he feel about this team and where he believes we can go and the steps that we can take. But at the end of every statement that he makes like that to us, he tells us, it's up to us. So it's up to the guys in our room, it's up to the guys in this building and the women in this building. It's up to everybody. You gotta have a certain type of trust and faith when you walk past the from the lowest to the highest person in the building. Like, they have to know that you're here for a certain reason. I have to know that person is here for a certain reason. And when you start to see that and feel that, that's when you will start seeing things really change. So like I said, as far as me personally, my chip on my shoulder for this week is I feel like I lost the game against Miami the first time we played them on that last play. So when I come to work every day, that's my mindset. I'm not going to be the one to lose this game. So that's my chip, and everybody's going to see that and feel that when I'm here this week, and hopefully that rubs off on people the right way.
I love that mindset. Let's talk about something that you said a few weeks ago. You talked about respect and certain teams not, quote unquote, respecting the Jets. How do you change that mindset on the field and in the locker room?
Well, the easiest way to do it is to win, which is also the hardest way to do it. So, and with that being said, that it starts off, from your first day, which is, for us on Mondays, coming in, getting your treatment, getting your body right to make sure that you're available for Sunday, and just taking certain steps in the way you study and the way you listen and learn in meetings. So each guy individually trying to get better at their craft, which in turn will make the team better, and which results in wins and us communicating and doing the right things on the field, not to lose games, not to beat ourselves, playing foul-free football. So all those different things that builds up to get to a team win. So it's easy to go out there on Sunday and battle and fight and try to claw and get a victory, but most games are won or lost by your preparation and doing the right things.
After you were drafted, legendary Alabama coach Nick Saban said, CJ Mosley is one of the finest football players and finest people I've ever had the opportunity to coach. This guy actually makes more plays on a football field, plays faster, reacts more quickly than anybody that I've ever had the opportunity to coach. Saban's a tough dude. Those are big words of praise. Do you have any funny Nick Saban stories you can share with us?
Well, since he gave me so much praise in that statement, I'll say that the way he treated everybody, every player, really held on to me, and mainly from my freshman year. I wasn't getting a lot of playing time. I was more of a nickel backer, special team. So like any other player would do, you start to ease off and kind of not study and things of that nature. So we was playing against Duke, and I was in on, it was one of our dime packages. The back flared out, and I blitzed it, didn't take him. And just as soon as I got to the sideline, he was on me. So I was like, man, okay. I thought, I'm a freshman. This ain't no big deal. And he handed it to me, and that stuck with me ever since that day. I was like, all right, he gonna treat me just like I was a senior, I was a starter, and that really made me start studying a lot more as a freshman and really learning like just the package I was in. I wasn't in on that whole defense, because the Alabama playbook is something serious. So you have to really be on your P's and Q's to really do something at defense, especially as a linebacker, because at that time with Kirby Smart, they really trusted me as I got older and learned the defense, and that's when I really started make checks and change up the defensive line and things of that nature when I saw something, because they gave me the power to do so, and they trusted me to do it, and they taught me how to see the offense and see certain formations. So it's a lot of stuff I learned through Coach Saban and that coaching tree, his background and all of that. So I was very, very blessed to be at Alabama. I always say that because I was able to take my family a lot of places that I wouldn't be able to go if I wasn't there, with the accomplishments that we had. I always appreciate everything that he do, and my brother's back at Alabama this year as a GA. So it's just a lot of good things that come for there when you do the right thing. So definitely always in my heart.
That's an awesome story, dude.
That's an amazing story. Talking about Alabama, man, you guys had a big win in the SEC championship game the other day. Number 1 seed in the playoffs. Is it going to be back-to-back years, CJ?
It's looking good so far. It's looking good. They tried to. I knew they was going to try to make a big scenario, a big deal about the SEC championship game. Obviously, Alabama and Georgia going back at it, year after year. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it as it's the next opportunity. It just happens to be, just have to have a ring and a title on it, So, but if you, prepare like it's the next game, you prepare like it's the next opponent that you're supposed to face, and you go about it with the right attitude. Usually, you come out with the moral and team victory. So I'm sure they're going to be on the same mindset, the same page as this is the next opponent up. They're going to study their butts off and practice right, and get back to it. So I definitely expect to see them in the national championship again.
Let's go big picture Jets here. 2014, you play with Baltimore. You're in the playoffs that first season. I believe at 15-16, the Ravens finished 3rd and 2nd out of the playoffs, and then you eventually made it back to the playoffs in 2018, your last season. How did it flip there? And can you talk about the importance of culture in Baltimore and the importance of culture here as you guys try to flip it?
I would say, it mainly started off with the core guys in the group. when you get to a team then you can be very fortunate to have coaches that have been together for a long time, players that have been together for a long time, and I was happy to be drafted into that type of environment, and it played off well, and a lot of guys knew how to play off each other. They can make certain checks and make certain looks, do small hand gestures, and just be on the same page. And the same thing with coaches, working things out on the sideline, mid-game, going through adjustments and game plans during the season with each other. It was cool to see and cool to be a part of. So I feel like the times that we were eliminated from the playoffs and still fought our way back the next year and bounced back is really guys having that taste, like we know what we can do. We really feel that if we're doing the right things that we can be a championship football team. And that's what I've been, saying this whole year. We gotta believe that. And obviously we're young, so a lot of guys haven't experienced those playoff experiences or been in those games where, those regular season games really mean something once you get towards the end of the season, or these December football games really mean something when you're trying to, fight for home field advantage or trying to, win your conference so you can, get to the playoffs. But, in due time that will come. But that's mainly, down the road when you got a finished product, and we're at the steps where we need to find out, who really wants to be here to try to change something, because change is always hard, no matter what job you have or what part of life you're in. When people are comfortable or people used to certain situations, it's hard to really change someone's mindset, especially when the change is, it's easier to come when you're seeing it. And right now we're not seeing those victories. We're not seeing those little things, those little wins here and there. So it's hard to believe when you can't see, but I believe it, and I believe that the core guys that we have and our young group that we have can really turn this around and be special, because you don't always have to have a big name to come in the building. You always have to have a big name to show out and make the game changer play. You can have those players that don't have the name that make a name for themselves, because I feel like that's what I did. It was a lot of players that that were great at Baltimore, but at the end of the day, I made a name for myself through big games. I made a name through myself and just being consistent and trying to do the right things.
CJ, let's talk about the upcoming opponent, the Miami Dolphins. They're on a 5-game win streak. You guys saw them earlier in the year. On defense, everybody talks about the RPO game that the Miami Dolphins bring with their split zone, and the flat route and then the split slant coming off of that. What is one thing besides that you guys feel like on defense you got to take away from this Miami Dolphins offense?
Well, it always starts with the run game, and it's no secret that we've struggled with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they start off trying to run the ball and in turns with that get the quarterback movement and the RPO off that. So our first steps is always to control the run game, and once that happens, then we can really let loose and switch up our third down and our second down looks. But with that in the run game, and I would say the deep ball. So off the RPO, off the play action, off the bounce cuts when they're trying to get to the flat and get people out. As far as eliminate those big plays to extend drives.
You ready for that heat and humidity?
Yeah, I'm always ready. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm from Alabama, so I know I understand what it's going to be like. So a little extra IV maybe here and there, but we'll be ready.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that because I was telling EA when we played there in 13 and 14, like I'm from Florida, so I'm used to the heat. But when you've been up in the winter, for 2-3 months, you go down there late December, it's 75, it feels like 110. So I was telling them, like, it's big that you talk to some of these young guys, let them know hydration starts today, right? You can't wait till Friday to get hydrated. So like what has been the message, this week just to prepare to get ready for Miami and deal with some of that humidity?
Yeah, that was the first message, actually. We got that message Monday, start your hydration now. So staying hydrated. Like I mentioned, at the beginning of this, guys making sure that we really focus on what we need to do to get better. Not more so like the season, the outcome, and those things of that nature, because you'll get lost in that big picture. You have to, control what you can control first, and that's, what you do on and off the field. And if guys come to work with that mindset, this week, I feel we're going to be in a good position to get a victory.
Can we end it right here? What happens on Tuesday with the defense? Because you guys don't have any organized meetings, but you as players get together, don't you?
Correct. We just watch film on our next opponent. We might throw on a TV copy of a game that they recently played, or from a defense that's similar to ours, and try to see the little things that they do here and there. So it's really just to get a little head start on our opponent, and guys congregate, get the rookies, get our breakfast, little things like that, just to hang out and really bond with each other and try to get better in life and on the football field.
What'd you have for breakfast today? And who got it?
We usually have bagels, or some of the guys get a little some McGriddles. So guys usually go for the McGriddles, or they get Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A biscuit. So that's always a good go-to.
It's a win for sure.
Oh yeah,
good stuff. Thanks so much, CJ.
Appreciate you.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.
WynnBET is now live in New Jersey, and they're bringing the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas to online sports betting. Get in on all your favorite teams, players, and sports, from boosted parlays to live in-game odds on every major sport. They have what you need to win. Sign up today to receive a special offer, risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning. WynnBET, an official sportsbook and gaming partner of the New York Jets. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7117.
Great stuff from the Jets' heartbeat on defense. The heartbeat inside the locker room, CJ Mosley. Jets-Dolphins this weekend in South Florida. As a player, is that difficult going down and playing in that heat and humidity in December, or is it something that you welcome? Or is such a change for your body,
I don't think anybody welcomes that when you've been up here in the cold. It's been like 30, 40 degrees, and even 75, degrees is hot to you when your body has, been acclimated to the cold weather. Now, I'm from Florida, and, I'm used to the heat. I still live in Fort Lauderdale in the offseason when I was playing. So, I enjoyed going down there. But for some
I'd
reason,
say so. I'm sure you do.
We never lost down there. So, when we played there, it would always be late December, like the last game of the year. And literally, I kid you not, going through warm-ups, dudes would be coming out of their pads. And this is it's only 75 degrees, but the humidity, again, when you've been up in 20, 30-degree weather, going down to Florida when it's 75 feels like it's literally 110 degrees.
So what do you have to do? There's nothing you can do out here on the practice field.
Yeah, so what me, Dave Harris, and Calvin Pacers do, we used to get on this elevation bike, right? And we would just ride for 20 minutes every day after practice, with at 10,000 feet, just for our lungs.
So you took it to the mountains.
Yeah, we took it to the mountains, man, just because it's going to be hard to breathe. Now, it's not the same exact thing because the air is thinner, but it helps with the lung capacity. But there's nothing you can do to prepare except for hydrate. Literally, your hydration has to start today. You cannot wait till Friday to try to start hydrating to play down in Miami, Florida. It's going to be too late then. Try to get you some IVs through the week, some vitamin IVs. Do whatever you can hydration-wise, because there's no way you can account for that heat and humidity. Again, 75 degrees down there in Florida feels like winter to everybody that lives down there. But when you've been in 20 and 30-degree weather for 2-3 months, it feels like 110 degrees.
I went to grad school at the University of Florida. I love my time down in Gainesville. I love training down there. But you're talking about big dudes, too, on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
I'm talking literally, it was so bad, EA. I remember we played down there in 13 and 14. Literally, both years, it was the last game of the season. I want to say after 2 reps in team, everybody was coming out their jersey, just sweating, breathing hard. Usually you want to get a quick, good pop in just so you can get mentally. Everybody was like, I'm going to just put my hands on you, bro. I just got to breathe. The thing is, you got to catch that second wind early, man, because if you can't catch that second wind, you were in trouble in Miami.
So Miami notoriously would wear the light jerseys, especially in September, and put you in the darker jerseys, right? Because of the sun.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Now, since this is a middle to late December game, is it more of an advantage for the Dolphins to play at home in December or September? Is it December because –
I would say December just because everywhere else is so cold, and – it's 75, so it feels good to them. But again, teams that are coming from the north, which is still crazy to me that the AFC East is 3 North teams and 1 Southern team. It just makes
you still can't wrap your head around that, huh?
They should be in the AFC South, and then they should maybe move the Colts into the AFC East. Like,
they're going to bring the Colts back.
Or you put the Colts in the AFC North and you put Baltimore in the AFC East. That just makes more sense to me.
It does, but
like I don't know why they haven't done that yet. You got 3 teams in the North. You got Buffalo, New England, and the Jets, and then you got Miami Dolphins.
Okay, dude.
Makes absolutely no sense.
I don't want to sound like the old man here, but you don't care about the rivalries? Jets-Dolphins.
I feel like the Dolphins rivalry compared to like the Jets and Patriots or the Buffalo, it's not the same, right? Because
I'm thinking about Marino.
Yeah, that's way
and
back
Kenny O, 51-45, 1986, the Mud Bowl.
Just like the geographical, it just don't make sense geographically. Like literally, there's a team in Florida and everybody else is in New York or Massachusetts.
So you would put Baltimore in the AFC East?
It makes sense, especially even for traveling, and then also for like teams that are playing similar weather games. You know, because you look at everybody else, right? You look at the NFC West. And this is even before, you know, the Rams went back to L.A. They were in a dome in St. Louis. Yeah. So you're talking about Seattle, Arizona. And Seattle gets cold, but it's the West Coast, so it's still not, like, terribly bad. Arizona, L.A., and the 49ers, they all have similar weather. Like the NFC South, all those teams, Carolina, Atlanta, Tampa, all similar weather.
I didn't think we were going to be talking about realignment today.
Now you're talking about the Miami Dolphins in the AFC East, with 3 other teams at the top of the North, not just in the middle. They're at the top of the North, like New York and Boston. Like, makes no sense, but I digress.
No, I love the conversation. I didn't think we were going to go here.
I've been saying it for years. I was like, they need to move the Colts to the North, right? Because if you look at Pittsburgh, Cleveland, they're in that same Midwest area.
Well,
they're not Midwest.
Well, Cincinnati's closer to Indianapolis, yes.
But no, you keep Cincinnati in there. That's what I'm saying. So
I know. That's where you got more of a natural.
That's what I'm saying. Since everybody's in that same area. Baltimore's all the way to the east, so it would make sense. They're off the water for them to be in the AFC East and not in the North.
Man, that would be tough, though. Talk about an organization marked by stability for the last couple of decades.
I mean,
that division would be crazy. You're talking about
both divisions. I mean, because you're substituting the Colts for the Ravens, who the Colts have, even with Andrew Luck, we're going to the playoffs, like, and Peyton Manning, we're going to the playoffs. So you're talking about an organization that has stability. So you're taking one good team and you're replacing it with another. Granted, the AFC East would be a lot harder.
Hell yeah. Can you imagine that division? New England looks like they got it set up again where they're going to be a good team for a while. They should be. Buffalo, while they're going to scuffle to make the playoffs, if they do make the playoffs.
They're going to be good, though.
Josh Allen's pretty good quarterback there. And then you're going to bring Lamar Jackson in the AFC East?
And the AFC South would probably get a lot worse.
Yes.
Who knows? The Colts. Everybody thought the Colts were done in the beginning of the year, and they made a run. I mean,
I did leave them for that.
Granted, Miami was 10-6 last year, didn't make the playoffs, and they looked like they could mess around and go at least 9-8 this year. So you never know.
So Miami,
it'd be Miami,
Jacksonville,
Houston, and Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's sitting there.
But honestly,
sign me up for that.
Honestly, it wouldn't have made no difference in the beginning. I would say through the first 6 weeks of the season, people were looking at Indianapolis like they were looking at Miami. So they were kind of looking at them as like the same type of team.
Yeah, but this is people got to stop thinking about Indianapolis like it's Peyton Manning and when they got Freeney.
Luck, though, they were good.
No, I know, but it was still built in that kind of formula around the quarterback. We got speed players, and then defensively, we're undersized. We're going to rush the quarterback because we're going to get a lead on you. This team should be playing at Buffalo. If you watch the Colts, especially offensively,
they should have beat them last year in the playoffs.
They are ground and pound.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, that offensive line.
So they belong in the AFC?
AFC North.
Exactly.
Oh, damn.
What has the AFC North always been synonymous with? Running the football and playing good defense. Like, the Colts would fit perfectly in with that right now. Yeah. Now, they give up a lot of yards, but they did get turnovers. They're the number one team in forcing turnovers.
There are few players that I enjoy watching more than Darius Leonard.
The maniac, man. The maniac.
Okay, so we're solving a lot of NFL's problems here.
Let's get back to Miami, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. Who do you got Saturday night, though? I like that game. Indianapolis hosting
that's
New
a
England.
Good game because, right, it's strength on strength. You got two teams that run the ball effectively and two teams that get you to turn the football over. So it's whatever quarterback makes the least mistakes is most likely going to win that game. And we know that both of those quarterbacks don't turn the ball over. Like they did in the beginning of the year, but the last 7-8 weeks of the season, they don't turn the football over.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Mac's not going to turn it over. You're not going to turn it over. I'm not going to turn it over when we're throwing it 3 times.
That potentially could be like a 7-10 game. And
you think?
That's going to be a slobber knocker. like it's going to be 9-on-7, literally every single play. Because you got to think about it, right? Again, the Colts force the more turnovers than any other team in the NFL. That secondary from New England, I'm not putting Carson Wentz against that.
No.
Like, it's going to be an ugly game. We get into the fourth quarter, and we're going to try to still one at the end. And it's probably both teams' mentalities right now.
Jets-Dolphins, how do the Jets go down there and steal one, get their first division win, like you mentioned, since 19, and the first division win under Robert Saleh? This was a game. Robert Saleh, after that first one,
oh, man, he was pissed.
He was pissed.
He was pissed. Yeah. And he should be, right?
He talked about, he brought out the line, 90% of teams lose in the National Football League. We lost today.
Yeah, the Jets lost that game for sure. Like, you can't have pivotal penalties and bonehead penalties at pivotal marks.
Can't turn it over inside the red zone.
Can't turn the ball over inside the red zone. You're not going to win that, especially when your talent isn't as great as other teams. Like, the margin for error is so minute. You can't do things that hurt your team. So, but just talking to some of the players after that game, like they're excited to play Miami again because they felt like they let one get away. And we were just talking about this earlier. Like the Jets hadn't had a division win in almost 2 years. So, like, what better way to right the ship to get revenge on a team that you felt like you gave them the game, they didn't take it from you, and to get a division win, 2 birds, one. I mean, I know probably with Peter we can't say that right now.
You can't say that.
2 birds, 1 stone. It's probably it is what it is. 2 birds, 1 stone. I guess.
I think it's okay. I don't know. How are you going to use the backs this week if Carter and Coleman are both 100%?
That's the thing, right? That's another thing I wanted to say. They have to run the ball. Like last week, 17 attempts is not enough.
You're never going to win.
You're never going to win a game. And actually, Michael Pirine actually had a few good runs. I think he had 7 carries for 28 yards, so he averaged over 4 yards a carry. I think with this offensive line, you have to try to establish the run and get the run game going. And also, you're going to have Michael Carter back, who's a viable receiver out of the backfield. You got to try to get him in one-on-one situations.
Do you keep Pirine up, by the way?
I think you have to, right? I would not.
Would you go with those 3?
I would not be surprised if Ty Johnson was down this week.
Okay.
I just think Pirine ran the ball hard with the few opportunities he got in the game. Now, the thing with Pirine, obviously, I saw after breaking down the field, there some things in protection that he needs to still learn and pick up. I don't think they trust him 100% in pass protection. I think that's why Ty Johnson continued.
That's why we're paying you the big bucks, bro.
Yeah, I think that's why, besides them only having 2 backs, I think that's why Ty Johnson continued to get as much work as he did, especially when the Jets went down, because he knows more of the protection game than LaMichael Pirine does.
And even though I know this sounds bad because he had a tough day with his hands, but he's probably more adept at catching out of the backfield.
And he's a better athlete out of the backfield catching the football. But with this week, with Tevin Coleman and people tend to forget this, Tevin Coleman was technically a 3rd down back in Atlanta. Like when he was there, like Freeman wasn't a 3rd down back, Tevin Coleman was. So he has that skill set as well. And then we know what Michael Carter can do out of the backfield. I would not be surprised to see Pirine be the 3rd back this week.
But I know you want the Jets to run the ball. Yep. You've been stressing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you go Pirine too? Because you want to play a power attack this week? Is that what we're looking at?
I mean, but I think you can get that with Tevin Coleman, and we've talked about this. He's like shot out of a cannon every time he gets the ball. He runs the ball downhill and physical.
Love him.
So, I think Pirine should get at least like 5 carries this week. Spell out Tevin Coleman and Michael Carter's coming off injury, so we can't forget that. It's not like he's going to get the normal workload that he's used to.
And you talked about the humidity.
Yeah, and it's going to be hot, so you're going to have to rotate guys. So, yeah, I just want to see this offensive line, establish the run this week. And, games that they've, played well in, the first game versus New England when they had a chance to win, they ran the ball. Versus the Houston Texans, they were able to run the football. Yes. Tevin Coleman versus the Eagles was running the heck out of the field.
He was.
So, like, games that you've had chances to win, the Jets have been able to, somewhat had some type of running game besides the Tennessee game. So, like, you have to establish a run. You got to take some pressure off this young quarterback because he's gonna have enough on his plate with the looks the defense is gonna give him from Miami.
Last game, was that game plan specific in terms of getting your slot guys the ball, or are you just going to go to people who are productive and making plays for you? Yeah, I mean,
talking about versus the Dolphins the last
last game against New Orleans. I know it's a week-to-week league. You're going to change up your game plan. I'm specifically talking about Braxton Berrios had 10 targets last week.
Yeah.
And he led the team in receptions. I believe Crowder ended up with 3 receptions. Keelan Cole, just 1 reception. But again, he's just working his way back into the lineup. I know Denzel Mims had a game that the Jets want him to learn from.
Yeah.
So I
think that was just a trust factor, honestly. I think Zach just trusts Braxton. And
you think that's what it is?
I think he's earned the right, too, because I think the coaching staff trusts Braxton because they literally – designed plays for him last week.
Yes.
Even the plays that he didn't get the ball, like the flat play to the screen pass he had that Zach, one hop to him. Like that was designed for Braxton to get the ball, and I think he's earned that right, not only for what he's done in the return game, but every time he's been in an offense, whether it's an end around, a reverse, a screen play, he makes positive plays happen. So I think that was just a trust factor with your 2 top receivers out. Who do we trust right now on this roster to make plays for us? And I think Braxton Berrios is the guy, and I would not be surprised. He went to Miami in college. I would not be surprised if he got 10 more targets this game as well.
Yeah, it would be huge to get a big game out of him, and maybe Eddie Pinheiro is in a position to win it.
That'd be big.
That'd be big. Down the
Jet
stretch.
fans went crazy when he made the first field goal.
Oh yeah, the Bronx cheer. Those fans. you know those fans, but. Yeah, I think early on in this game is going to tell us a lot.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And you got to think, like, the games where the Jets have had a chance, they've actually started moderately fast. Like, now the Texans game, they didn't start too fast, but they were never, like, behind big. And even the Philadelphia Eagles game, the offense started fast, the defense kind of struggled. So if you want a chance in this game, and Miami wants to play a close, tight game. Like that's what they like. All their games this year, where they on this 5-1 streak,
feels like they're grinding
13-7, 27. Like it's been like close, tight knit games. Like that's how they play because they don't have an explosive offense. Yeah, they have a few explosive weapons on offense. When you talk about Jalen Waddle, but they don't have an explosive offense. They want to matriculate the ball down the field, play good defense. They feel like their defense, if their defense can hold you under 14 points, they're most likely going to win the game.
What are you doing with Gesicki and Waddle?
Yeah, so the RPO game is big for the Miami Dolphins. If you talk about run-pass option, and with Tua being able to fake the zone play, throw to Gesicki in the flat, or throw to Gesicki on a quick slant route, and with that big body, he boxes defenders out of the way, and he's able to go up and get the ball. So that's big. So the thing is, like, the linebackers just have to be smart, right? You can't just trigger on the run game because they'll throw the ball right, over your head to receivers. They throw it to Waddle, too, sometimes in the RPO game. Waddle's a big guy that they like to give the ball to in space and end arounds, reverses, things. They've lined him up in the backfield just so he could be a mismatch on a linebacker coming out. So this is a guy that's going to probably get 12 to 13 targets a game. Because they've been so beat up at receiver, he's been their number 1 weapon on the outside. They're going to force feed him the ball. And with Gesicki, you have to understand Tua likes to throw between the numbers when it comes to Gesicki. So anything across the middle, like if you see him on crossing routes, drag routes, that's where Tua likes to get him involved in the passing game. So you just got to be aware. Now he'll throw it to him in the flat on the RPO every once in a while, but he really likes to attack with Gesicki down the middle.
Flood the middle and make him beat you up top, correct?
Beat you up top and then beat you outside of the numbers.
Okay.
Like make him throw the long throws from one hash mark to the other hash mark. That's where you can have some success against Tua. He's made a few throws the last couple of weeks of the season. He's gained some more confidence. But if I'm, Robert Saleh or Jeff Ulbrich, I'll live with those plays. Like you got to show me you can do that play in the playoff.
Enjoy the game, everybody. We'll see you next week.